was a very intentional sort of a pregnancy, right? So we wanted to prep for it even before even the inception, right? So we wanted to have a baby and we wanted to prep for it. So the last 3 years, I think I've been in Bangalore. We've been in Bangalore, both Ani and I. That was in that time itself. I was hearing a lot of cases, like a lot of friends of mine who've had PCOS and PCOD and issues like that and everything. And I did have some sort of a understanding that it has a lot to do with your own lifestyle and how you can actually prep yourself, stuff like that. So I started doing yoga then, because as a lifestyle I wanted to make that choice. We started with that, and then Ani was very encouraging even in the beginning. When we wanted to try, he said, let's wait it out and everything. So it was almost about 3+ years for us, and during the pandemic it was a choice, right? It's very scary. How are we going to manage going to the hospital and visits and all of that? So it was very intentional, like every other couple. So I would like to start there. And yeah, so when we started, we tried, and I wanted to actually take supplements before, even like folic acid supplements and stuff. But God's grace, we got pregnant. So when we went to the hospital, we wanted to confirm. Um, and during that time, the thought was that, I want it to be as, you know, as best as birth as it can be, like as there can be, right? So I wanted to give my child, my baby, my husband, and myself the best experience out of a birth that I can have. So that was basically the thought process around it. So we, like any other couple, we wanted to actually search for the best healthcare out there. That is, the hospitals is what we've been told, right? Especially for us, a lot of friends who live out of the country, they have been talking about how there are alternative mediums, or how hospital is not the only place that you give birth. But for us, our upbringing and the way that we think about things, I've not heard of any other place other than the hospital where you could have a safe birth, right? So I sought after stuff like that. So I started looking at doctors, gynecs, and the the basic, how we look at gynecs or how we look at healthcare is only when I get sick will I go to a doctor, right? It's not a mechanism where you go get yourself checked periodically. That was not the kind of process that I grew up in, nor did Ani. So we searched for a good doctor, we asked for recommendations, and we found a doctor. And at that time, a lot of the stuff that you spoke about in the class did not come to our mind. We didn't think about a doctor who would actually, listen to us and stuff like that. Or, we just wanted a person who knew what they were doing, because we don't know what we're doing, right? So that's the position that we came from. So both of us, we saw that, I mean, we read about it, we saw that natural birth is the thing, right? It is the way that birth is to be experienced, generally. That is like the first thing that you read about, and everywhere that it says vaginal birth is more better, it's better than everything, right? So that was my attitude, I'll be very honest with you, right? So I did think that vaginal birth is superior, and I need to have that experience in order to feel a certain way. And Anirudh was like, I go by, he is a person who takes things one day at a time, and he doesn't sweat it. Like, he doesn't sweat the small things. I sweat the small things. So he told me, listen, any kind of births and there you'll be fine. So don't sweat the small stuff. It's okay if you have a C-section. You're,
Yeah.
in the beginning, like before even just when I got pregnant, that's when I started talking about it, and so passionately that it kind of resonated with him, in a sense that she really wants this. She really wants this to feel confident and successful at the end of the birth. Let me support her. That was a stance that he took in the beginning, I would like to assume. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Anirudh, but so that's how it was. And I was kind of adamant about natural birth. And so I checked rates, the percentage of how many people deliver C-section births in the hospital, in this particular hospital, by this particular doctor. So I kept reading reviews wherein people said, okay, C-section, 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 reason. I kept reading the reason. And then there were also a lot of, reviews where they said the doctor really tried. So those kind of reviews gave me some kind of, it kind of worked for me, in a sense that, okay, she listens. She does want to hear us out in case, you want to try it. More and more I got indulged in the process. More and more I got pregnant. I realized that it's a lot of layers, right? It's not very simple. It's not black and white like a C-section and a normal delivery. Even before coming to you, Neha, it's fascinating to me how much I changed, how much my belief, my belief structure changed. I understood that, okay, let me not stick to one kind of birth and everything. Then Ani changed. Then Ani changed to a place where, he became more motivating. Then I kind of started losing it a little bit. Just before coming to the class, I was like, okay, I'm giving up. You know what? Let things happen the way they are. I'm just gonna give up a little bit. Let me just chill. Let me just sit and eat that chocolate I want. Let me just, do what I want. Was like around 6th, 7th month, I was kind of giving up. And he was like, I'm gonna pick up the pace now. And he said, no, you work towards a vaginal birth. You work towards a good kind of birth, any kind of birth, right? So don't give up now. And that kind of went on up until my 10th, 9th month, 9.5, whatever. And
I think that's so wonderful. The way
yeah,
he was balancing out your extreme swings.
yeah.
Always. I don't know.
So
Whether
sometimes, right, Neha. So she'll be like, I'm giving up 7 months. I've done yoga, all this, walk the stairs, up and down. You've done so much. And during COVID, that too, we've not had the chance to get out of our home and, probably take a stroll in the Kabban Park, etc. So we had to be really, really careful. Probably in the 8th month, I would say she was like, I am going to eat pizza.
Yeah.
And I said, look at what you've done so far. It is about 240 days of, dedication towards what you want to achieve, right? It doesn't matter if it is going to be a C-section or vaginal birth, but you have put your effort for 240 days towards having a natural birth. So let us continue to do that. It
truly gave me power, Neha. It really gave me the power. It was a wonderful tool for me to know that anything can happen, but I have done everything I can to facilitate a good kind of a birth that I want, right?
So what I would say, Neha, is like you said, right? We have to trust the process, like what is going on. So you were enabling that for us. And secondly, uh, from this whole birthing whole exercise, I was not aware of what should happen, right? The controllables that you had mentioned in the class, something that we can control during the delivery time, all that your class helped us. So I was trying to, I was always behind that. No, don't slack now, don't do that. You can do these types of exercises. That's what Mia said. Continue doing that, don't stop. Then I had written down, so the delayed cord clamping, I still remember. I had top of my mind, delayed cord clamping, then the body to body with the mom. All that we were, because the hospital didn't tell us about, right? Like Sandhya said, I put the trust entirely on Praveen Ashwani. And how my parents think is, the doctor knows everything, dude. You have not studied MBBS MD. She has done that. She has over 35 years of experience. So believe in her. So, but what your class gave us was, these are something which is essential to having a good delivery.
Yeah.
Right. So we had reached out to her in 8th month, or just after the class. We told her we wanted to have all this, and she was also cooperative. She said, "Of course, you're going to have that. Don't worry." And she is completely all right, and she's going to have a normal birth by God's grace. But as a motivator, I would say, as a coach kind of thing, I was always behind her, trying to get the best out of her. This is something we can control, but on the day we cannot control certain things, and we have to put it on God. He will take care of the rest. So whatever is under our control, nine out of 10 things, we'll do that correctly.
So for me, I think the takeaway is mostly, I think, education. Honestly, I didn't understand, you know, even though we all have the same kind of body parts and everything, nobody knows these things, right? Like nobody knows like placenta is this. Nobody knows that the uterus is here, and this is what happens. So for me, that was the biggest eye opener. Even though internet is available, like we have so many sources, I could just Google and I could just find what a birth looks like and everything. But even then, the way that you explain things, that's why I think I really like the term childbirth educator. Like you truly educated about what a childbirth is, right? So that is something that was really new to me, because my mom's never heard of it. My cousin sisters have never heard of it. They are younger, right? They are like 7, 8 years younger, but they have also not heard of it, and they've not done that. So that was really fascinating to me, and that was really helpful for us, right? So Ani understanding the whole process was very valuable to me. I think he really got it. He really got that, okay, this is what will happen in the hospital. Sandhya, can you explain this to me? What will happen as soon as we reach there? Like what would be the process, right? We would discuss hypotheticals, and we would just, I would even say manifestation. The way that we manifested the entire thing that you showed us in a lot of these births, these VBAC videos, or these videos, home videos that you showed us, we manifested a lot of that for us. I feel like we spoke about it, the 8th month and everything. That Neha's video where that Mexican lady delivered this certain way. Did you see her feel that way? Those kind of things. We felt like, oh, wow. I mean, it could happen to us, and let us manifest that. Let us think about it. Like, what would we do when we get the pain, and when we get the contractions and all of that. So that really helped me. And I would say sanity, like it kept my sanity, because a lot of the things that will happen in the future, that would be happening to me in the future in the next few months, you had told us about it, right? Like you had told us that, what, don't run before, and don't wake your husband up, or don't wake your partner up, and don't wake your mom up when you feel this way and everything. All that resonated with me a lot, because as a person, I genuinely feel like I have the tendency to kind of escalate things a little bit when, especially when I was pregnant, right? So I felt like maybe I'm not so much in control, but I was a lot more in control after getting to the classes. So I like myself to be prepped in most cases. If I'm prepped, I'm good, I'm golden. Otherwise, I might make the wrong decision that I kind of not like later, right? So
It so happened that, like Sandhya was saying, okay, now I'm going into the delivery room and the hospital. The head nurse was like, "Sir, are you coming in?" I said, "Of course I'm coming in. Why am I here?" So I was like there. Then she said, "No, not here. Go and stand beside beside her head, like on the top. Don't stay here." And I was like, "Fine, yeah." So they have some work there, so let them do that. Then I was clearly, now this is going to happen. This is step 2, step 3. Placenta is going to come out. Even I knew what was happening, because that is totally, I owe it to you, and Sandhya also was educated, and so I totally give it to you, Neha. Like, trust me, as soon as the baby was out, only I shed a tear, but not because of not any
it's an
negative
emotional
thing, but
moment.
it's an emotional moment, right? Until then, I was in control. I knew what is happening. I knew this nurse, please don't stop me. I'm going to stay here. Nothing will happen. I knew that. As soon as the baby was out and he was crying, that's when I got emotional. Okay, now it is done. We'll have to see the next steps.
Mama's class got over. So something that happened every Saturday, giving me some sort of a process and everything, got over, right? Then it kind of became, I would say, the pregnancy kind of became duller, I would say, because you tend to feel heavier, and you're feeling a lot more than before. The second trimester is golden. It's amazing, right? After that, it was like a little lull, and it was fine. Like 7th month was great. 8th month, it was a little, here and there. But then the more closer I got, the scarier it got a little bit. The due date was going to come. I was a little anxious that, I expected that the birth will be a lot earlier. A lot of them had before birth. So I was expecting that, but it didn't happen. So I kept looking at all the, that was the time that I actually prepped, I would say, right? Like I looked at the videos, I looked at the breathing videos, all of that and all of that. And we went to the doctor just before 1 week before the due date, and she said, let me do an internal check. I knew that internal checks were intrusive, like you had told us about it, all of that. So I was a little anxious about it. I didn't want to do it. And then she asked me, it was a consent based thing. So she asked me whether do you consent, that sort of a thing. Um, then I said, yeah, sure, okay, fine, let's just find out. Then just before that, after the internal check, she said, doesn't look like you're going to have the baby anytime soon. We'll check again, and that was it. Then just before my due date, 2 days before my due date, I had a lot of pain. And by that time, a lot of pain just seemed normal, because every day I kept telling people that I'm in a lot of pain. Um, but it seemed like it was just because I'm heavier, and that was probably the reason, is what everybody said. And just one day before my due date, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I had mucus break, right? That didn't feel like a lot. Then I was like, okay. Then there was a little bit of bleeding. I was like, okay, maybe things are progressing. And from 2 You had told me. So then the way that you had told us, the process had started in my mind like you had told me, right? So what happened was, okay, there will be a pain, then you just kind of keep going, see how it progresses. If you feel like it progresses and you're in control and you know it and all of that. So by the time it was 7 p.m. in the night, I told my husband and my mother that, listen, I think there's a little bit of pain, but we'll see how it progresses. Then Ani sat with the stopwatch, like he sat with his phone and he said, okay, let me count. Let me see how it goes. So my pain was like, it was only 30 seconds. It didn't last for a whole minute. It only lasted 30 seconds, but it was regular intervals and all of that. Exactly checked out like what you said, but it was only 30 seconds. So I was like, let's wait until 1 minute. Then he said, okay, fine. My mom also said, fine. And 11 p.m. At night, also, it hadn't progressed to the rate of 1 minute, right? It hadn't, and no water break as well. So then we were like, okay, it's been from 2 to 11. I have had like a, you know, pain good enough. Let us go check and come back, right? Let them do a check and we'll come back. And we were supposed to only go for a check. We didn't go for anything else, it was just a check. And we were going to come back. So we didn't take anything. I didn't prep for nothing. And then I went and on the table, I was just lying down and my water broke. That's how my process began. And water broke, and they were like, okay, you know what? I wouldn't advise you to go back home because your water broke. Otherwise, we would have let you go home. But now it doesn't look like you should be. I also trust half the hospital, right? I also trust the hospital. So I was like, okay, fine. Then Ani was there, and the entire night progressed in a way that I felt like the pain was a lot for me, but people weren't able to gauge that, like how much pain I was in. I don't think anybody understood. Ani understood a little bit because he was with me in the room, and that room was a dingy, small room. It didn't feel, open. It didn't feel like a place where I would give birth or anything. It was just a interim place wherein tomorrow I will be shifted to a room. That's how I felt. That's how he felt. And we were in the room and we were like, okay, it's progress. For me, it was progressing quite a lot. They hooked me up to things. And then I said, you know what, don't hook me up to things. I want to walk, I want to do all that. They said, you know what, you'll get a lot of time to do that. You will do that. Right now is not the time. It was really funny, right? Because I knew that was exactly what you had told us. And it was really funny to me and even Anirudh. Anirudh was like, he was like, for now, let's just ask them to do the check. So half an hour they said we'll put the things on you. Half an hour after that we'll remove. So they put me on things and everything. I was moving quite a bit. I was squirming. I had proper pain. After my water broke, my pain progressed very, very fast. It was quick, right? So it was really quick. And I was like, okay, the pain is progressing quite a bit. I was telling Anirudh, I can't handle this. I don't think I can do this. I was saying a lot of shit. Like I was saying a lot of stuff, sorry. I was saying a lot of stuff, and Anirudh was like, you know what? Tomorrow is the day, Sandhya. Today is not the day. Like, keep your energy. Like, keep your energy intact. And we were all going by what they said. And 5 a.m. is when the birth could be and everything. And then it was a lot. There was a lot in the room. I don't know if I can talk about it explicitly, but it was a lot. Like Anirudh knows, he's cleaned stuff. He's cleaned stuff so many times around me. I was like out of my mind. Like I kept walking to the bathroom again and again and again. The last walk, and I sat I sat inside the toilet in the toilet, and I said, I'm giving up. I cannot do this. It's a lot. It's very intense, and that intense pain, I was like, okay, I feel the head coming down. Whether I don't know if this is the right thing, but I feel it. So I'm going to trust my instinct here, and I'm going to go tell people the head is coming down. I basically removed everything myself because they were like, and they came in, the nurses came in, they were like, you know what, wait, let me just remove everything. There was a pain meter and stuff, and they said, the pain meter should read a certain number and all of that. The pain meter read 1 and 2 and everything instead of reading 50 and 100, which was where I was supposed to be. So that kind of gave me some anxiety. And when I went to the bathroom, and I was like, okay, listen, Anirudh, I think we're having the baby, whether they believe believe it or not, so let's call the doctor, let's call all of them. So the duty doctor came in and she said, wow, you progressed like very fast, very soon, and you'll have the baby now. And Anirudh was like, oh, okay, she's going to have the baby now. And they're all prepped and everything. We went in, and from then on, I think periodic contractions, and on the table, it was like I kept reminding myself and him. I was talking to him mentally. I was like, do you remember everything? Anirudh, do you remember everything? Do you remember delayed cord clamping? I was like, I was trying to actually make sure that I was passing control from me to him, sort of. And he was totally like, he was cool. He was like really calm, collected, went into the room. And it was like, where's my husband? Where's my husband? And my doctor said, he's just wearing the PPE kit. He'll be here shortly and everything. And he came in, and then onwards, I think he cheered me more. Like, I heard only his voice, to be very honest with you. There were a lot of people. There were a lot of healthcare professionals, and they told me uh, technically what to do. They told me, don't push at this interval, don't push at this interval, and all of that. My doctor wasn't there. She was, she came in 15 minutes later and everything. The duty doctor was helping me, and Anirudh's voice was the only thing that guided me. I was like, okay, you're almost there, you're almost there. And he said, I can see the head, I can see I can see the head and everything. And the doctor was super good that way. She came and she said, do you not want to see the birth? Come here. She actually called him there. And because she realized that we were a couple who prepped and everything. So I think that kind of matters. I know I'm speaking a lot, but I want to register that kind of matters, that telling the professional what you want and being explicit about it. I think Anirudh taught me that, right? When I went, I kind of dilly-dallied a little bit. I didn't talk about normal birth or vaginal. I didn't say those words. I actually said things like, I want to have a positive birth. He actually told me in the car one day, listen, you got to tell her, man. You got to tell her that I want a vaginal birth. I want this kind of a birth. You have to tell her, you have to put it out there. Even if it doesn't happen or does happen, you have to tell them, right? Like, that is when they'll need to realize that, okay, this means a lot to them, or this is the kind of experience that they're looking for. I think that is what we all make a difference. We all make that mistake. And honestly, as women, I'll tell you how I feel about this as well. I feel that, when you tell the professional what you want, it makes it look like you're telling them what to do. It's different. It's two different things. I felt that very
There's a
strongly.
way of saying it. When you say it respectfully, you are sharing your preferences.
Yeah. So
Right.
sharing my preferences felt like telling the professional what to do. My mother, my mother-in-law, everybody was a little vexed. They were a little anxious, because they felt like we both are sweating. We both are talking a lot about the normal birth, and we're placing a lot of importance there. And they felt like, okay, they might be disappointed if they don't get that. And everybody around feels that it's okay. We are a very allopathic centric sort of a country, and they feel like it's okay, it's fine. We've had it, and we've birthed children, and we've done all hardcore jobs, mechanical jobs after, so it's completely okay and everything. So that's how it was. 313, my son was born. Our son was born, sorry. Vyas is the name. So it was a very, very emotional moment. And the very moment they said, baby boy is here, I saw Anirudh, he was crying. So he went away a little bit, because he's not the regular type of person who would just shed tears and embrace that. Not that kind of a person. So I knew that, okay, now it's okay and everything. And then half an hour later, actually, it took a lot of time for me to birth the placenta. I felt it didn't feel because I kind of lost the control. I was like, okay, fine, okay, I'm done now. That's how it felt. But then I did remember that you had told us that placenta is equally important, and a lot of things, right? Like, a lot of things pass my mind. It's very funny that lotus birth, all of that things just come to you, right? You're in a frenzy, and it comes to you, right? And I was unmedicated and all of that as well, so it felt like a lot of these emotions that I was feeling was literally how my body was feeling. Like, I didn't feel anything unnatural. That was really funny, because the way that you had explained hormones, right? So it changes so quick and so fast, and I experienced that, and I was fully aware of that, and that was really good. And immediately, because we had told the doctor multiple times that immediately I want to breastfeed, and a lot of the choices that we had actually explained, we had made the birth plan like you had suggested, and your sample birth plans really helped me understand different couples and what their wants are, what their needs are, and they look so different, right? Like, some people want to actually induce the birth, and it was really nice that it had names, and these are actual people who had done that, and that really gave me power to go talk to the doctor a little bit, even Anirudh for that matter. And yeah, that's how it was. So she made sure that we got all of our boxes checked at the end. She told us that, okay, immediately you can golden hour breastfeeding, and then he got his everything, like all of the stuff that they do after. They didn't bathe him immediately. Like a lot of the choices that we made, small choices that we had told them, was all there. And yeah, so that was how the birth story was.
Uh, so like Sandhya has really called out everything. So one thing was, that 11:30 when we
I think
reached the hospital, and
you also just relived the whole thing, right?
yeah, of course, of course. I was just a tad bit away from getting emotional again. To be very honest, right? At 11 o'clock, my thought was a little bit different. I understood she has a lot of pain, but doctor first hand told me, look, Anirudh, it's going to be between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. Now it is 11:30. And she kept on walking, and I was like, Sunday, you walked enough between 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. before coming here. Now you have to rest, because 5 a.m. you need all the energy to push him out. Okay, push the baby out.
The doctor didn't know how much of yoga she did.
Yes, exactly. She was not aware.
Because when you practice, when your body is in good alignment and your baby is well positioned. So what I understand in your case is that the baby was really well positioned. The moment the water broke, that's it. He said, I'm coming.
I could actually feel it, like the way that it happens, the way that they say sections, or I don't know, stages or whatever.
Yeah, the baby moving through the pelvis, and that happens when you're unmedicated. When you're unmedicated, you have all the sensations, physical, emotional, mental, everything. And as you described, you have felt every single intensity of labor in all its glory.
Yeah,
True.
lots happened actually. One more thing that I actually forgot to mention was the way that you had told us, like the holds and the positions that you had told us in the labor room that helps with the husband. I tried one of those. It didn't work for me. One worked, and then he said, sit down, it's okay, like sit down. We told him that it's not happening, so he changed his process and he said, okay, let's do those things that we had practiced earlier. Let's do the breathing, let's do that, or let's do the exercise.
I actually pulled a chair, and I forgot that position's name. I actually pulled a chair, and she was crouched in front of me and lying, moving back and forth and all that. That is when I got really I got the signs that probably she's going to deliver. That is when she started screaming, and I realized I should go call the doctor. I do not. After this, I don't know what I have to do.
Yeah.
Then at that point, they rushed her to the delivery room, and I went inside, and it was just about half an hour, right? 2:45, 2:30, she went inside. 3:13, he was born, and it all went in a flash. And to this day, I have a small regret because I didn't videograph the entire. After Sandhya told me there was this one girl who was in the Lamas class with this. I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect her name. There is a video of
she's
her.
A friend of mine
birth.
now. We've connected and we're talking to each other. And
she has a the video of her water birth. That's when I thought, why didn't I even think of that at that point in time? There was thousands of thoughts.
It's very hard to remember. When you're in the middle of it, the last thing you're thinking about is photos and videos.
Exactly. I didn't take out my phone. Then I was with Sandhya by her side. I really don't remember why I forgot taking.
That's because you were focused on supporting her. That was your primary role, and I think you did a brilliant job of that. So it's okay if you didn't take a video, because you did your primary job really well.
No, I think that honestly, now that he says that, I feel like it was better than the video wherein only we both share that moment.
It's a very precious memory that you will have. If it was on the video, maybe you could have captured it, but it would have never been the same. The video is only capturing one dimension. But for you, it was a multi-dimensional experience. It was physical, it was emotional, it was spiritual, it was whatever, it was everything. So
yeah, I think it's really connected us in a very different level, I would say. Yeah, true.